Have you ever wondered why some guys get so much more attention from the opposite sex than other people? Yeah, sure, there's some guys out there who are good looking, right? And they get more attention from the opposite sex, but that's not always the case, is it? Sometimes you'll see some guys who are maybe shorter, a little bit stubbier, don't have as good of facial genetics as other people, who are still, for whatever reason, magnetizing women to them. They always have a girlfriend, they always have some sort of female attention around. Why is that? The answer, my friends, is that the person in question has high pre-selection. So what is pre-selection? If you haven't watched the previous videos, I have a video where I talk about the 3 pillars of attraction. We'll go over that really quickly. Pre-selection, persona, personality. Pre-selection is how attractive you are before anyone engages you. So you walk into a room and people just notice you, right? Persona is how attractive you are when you engage somebody. And personality is how attractive you are at your core, your real self, your psychological health, right? This video, we're going to focus on pre-selection because pre-selection is going to be the thing that creates more opportunities for you. Men who have high pre-selection don't have to worry about having God-tier social skills. They don't have to worry about mastering game, right? Now, it's good that they also have those traits, but it's not a need to have. It's a nice to have. Because when you have high pre-selection, everything that you say to a woman lands differently. She gives more grace. She's more forgiving. She's more open to your advances. Therefore, pre-selection is one of the first areas you should focus when you're trying to get your romantic life in order. And in this video, I want to share with you 4 ways on how to boost your pre-selection up so that you can start capitalizing on more opportunities, okay? So the first thing you have to understand is that pre-selection is context dependent, meaning if you go into one environment where you have higher pre-selection, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have higher pre-selection in another environment. For example, I have almost 200,000 followers on TikTok, right? So in that environment, in TikTok, right, my pre-selection is higher. I have a lot of social proof, a lot of attention on me that signals to people that I have something valuable to offer. It makes them more open to my advances. It makes them more open to wanting to engage with me, okay? Now, if I go to somewhere like the grocery store, the people there have no awareness of my TikTok presence. So in that environment, my pre-selection may not be low, especially if I'm dressed well and, looking good, smelling good. I'm still going to have a decent level of pre-selection. It's certainly not going to be as high as it is in an environment like TikTok, right? So you have to start generating an awareness on like where your pre-selection is going to be the highest. I actually had a question on my TikTok from a guy who asked me, what would I suggest men do who aren't that physically attractive, right? And focusing on getting their pre-selection up higher is one of those areas. And I told him, women are very attracted to status. And one way to generate status is to become competent at something. So I told him, is there any skill set that you have that you can leverage and you can put yourself in the environment where the spotlight is on that skill, where the spotlight is on that trait? Like, for example, let's say you're very funny. Maybe go do stand-up comedy. Because in that environment, if you're good at stand-up comedy, you will have higher pre-selection in that environment. Maybe you have a musical talent. Maybe you can go to karaoke bars and perform, right? Maybe you're very intellectual. Maybe there's like a debate group or a meetup group around some sort of intellectual interest that you can intellectually spar with people and start demonstrating your IQ to an audience of people who really value that. When you start playing the game more strategically in that way, you'll be able to put yourself in environments where your pre-selection is higher and therefore capitalize on the opportunities in that environment. This is something that absolutely every man can do. And it always annoys me when men start talking about like how you have to be attractive and all this kind of stuff. You got to be 6 feet. They're making complaints about pre-selection. And while those things are true, being physically attractive does increase your pre-selection. Being tall does increase your pre-selection. Being in great shape does increase your pre-selection. It's not the only things you can do to increase your pre-selection, okay? If you put yourself in an environment where people are responding to you warmly, where you have a little bit of popularity or fame or just people who know you, like if I go to a bar, right? And let's say, and this doesn't matter how you look, let's say you go to a bar and you frequent that bar. You get to know the staff, you get to know the bartenders, the waitresses, maybe you get to know the owner a little bit. And you come into that bar one night on like one of their popular nights, and all the bartenders are like, Johnny, what's up, bro? They dapping you up. The owner comes out, gives you a drink. you're going to signal to everyone in that environment that you are a person who they need to know, that you are a valuable person. You're not just one of the NPCs who are around them. You're someone who has aura in that environment. And if you were to approach women in that environment and engage with people, you would notice that they're more receptive to your advances because your pre-selection is higher. So understand, it is context dependent, right? This is why I don't really recommend men who don't really look that nice to just do cold approach. Yeah, they can do it. But if your pre-selection is low, you're going to have to be an incredible salesperson, bro. You're going to have to Wolf of Wall Street that shit. And you don't want to do that. Because when your pre-selection is low, you put too much of a burden on your persona. Your social skills, your ability to engage people is going to have to carry a lot of that slack. So it's incredibly important that you get your pre-selection as high as you can so that you make things a lot easier on yourself, because doing so greases the wheel, okay? It greases the wheel of attraction. And that's not to say you have to be a 10 out of 10 in pre-selection. If you're a 7 out of 10 in pre-selection, bro, you are washing everybody else out. So be thoughtful about what environments you put yourself in and reap all the rewards. Okay, number 2. The second way that you can increase your pre-selection is to befriend women. Too many guys tend to look at women exclusively as sexual objects. I don't know if it's because of porn. I don't know if it's because of society. I don't know if it's because a lot of men just don't have a lot of feminine energy around them, but they tend to only look and value women as physical objects. That is not a part of my mentality. That is not a part of the philosophy of the signal dating. We like women over here, okay? We like and value women over here. Women have a lot of value to add when you really understand the role that the feminine plays in life, okay? Women are mirrors, so you want to value women. So you don't necessarily want to only approach women who you want to sleep with. You also need to be engaging women just as a general rule. I always tell people they should go and they should be talking to everybody, as many people as possible, right? Because this is another thing that increases pre-selection. Again, popularity. When you're the type of guy who could just talk to people, can talk to everyone, right? You're signaling to everyone who is observing your interaction that you're a cool person to deal with. You're a nice, cool, chill guy. You know what I mean? People want to know men like that because there aren't many of them. So when you befriend women and you start going out with women, you'll notice a very interesting phenomenon. You'll notice that other women will give you more attention, right? Because one psychological insight you can have about women is that they're very competitive and they tend to want what other women want, okay? They call this mimetic desire. We desire things that we see other people desiring, okay? Look at someone like Duke Dennis. Duke Dennis, handsome guy, a lot of aura, a lot of vibe, right? But part of his appeal is that so many women desire him. And that influences the perception of other women who are seeing these other women thirst, right? But you can kind of create that same type of reality when you start going out with women. I actually tested this. I have a few beautiful women friends who I'm going out with from time to time. And I will take them just as an experiment to areas like coffee shops where like I tend to frequent, right? And the experience is night and day. When I'm out with a beautiful woman, other women absolutely take notice of me. More so than usual, more so than if I just go out by myself, right? And I've tested this a number of times. Even better is when you befriend women, the women who you're proactively putting in the friend zone may also start to desire you because they're not used to being put in that situation. They're used to guys coming after them and them having to be the one to put the platonic framing on it. So when you proactively do it, you put them in a situation they're not used to, and it makes them, again, get in that competitive space where it's like, oh, maybe I do like this guy, right? So it's a win-win scenario. Like there are no downsides to this approach. You befriend women, you get the attention of other women, and then you also get the attention of the women that you befriend. So befriending women and going out with them, being seen with them, drastically increases your pre-selection. Now, the third way to increase pre-selection is going to be the obvious way, right? And that's going to be focusing on your physical appearance. Now, this is the area that you have the least amount of control, but you do have a certain degree of control in this area, right? So let's say you're overweight. Anyone can lose weight, right? You can always lose weight. You can always gain muscle mass. Barring any kind of health conditions, you can always make your temple look nicer, right? If you're more physically fit, you're going to be more desirable. People are going to respect you more. That's going to increase your pre-selection. And like mine, being able to dress well is going to increase your pre-selection, because not many men pay too much attention to their aesthetics or their hygiene. So if you're smelling good, you're dressing well, you're dressing like a grown man, not like a teenager, right? You carry yourself well, you walk with your head high, your shoulders back, chest out. See what I'm saying? You make strong eye contact. You get some nice little accessories going, nice little haircut. You're going to capture more attention. Even if you're not the best looking guy, you're still going to be impressionable, right? You're going to impress upon people that you're a guy that they should know, right? So I would encourage a lot of you to go out, go to the gym, go on Pinterest, look at a style guide. You can increase your style by just learning about it in 30 minutes. Watch a YouTube video on it, right? Learn the simple principles of style and apply that to your life. Don't necessarily change yourself into trying to dress like somebody else, but just be the best version of you. Like, dress in a way that you still like the way that you look, that still matches your energy, but also in a way that communicates respect and showcases that you have self-respect, right? Doing so will absolutely have a positive impact on your pre-selection. Now, the fourth way to increase your pre-selection is one of my favorites, and that is to create a social media presence. As I've told you, my TikTok audience is booming, right? Eventually, my YouTube audience will be booming as well. That degree of social proof impacts people greater. When I share like what I do for a living, and when it comes up organically in conversation, the amount of followers that I have, people perk up, right? They're not used to, unless you live in a place where like influencers and stuff like that are commonplace, like in LA, which is why I say that pre-selection is contest dependent, right? Like having a lot of followers in LA probably isn't going to be as impressive because it's a concentrated area of influencers. But where I'm at in North Carolina, that's just not the case. You rarely come across somebody who actually has a big social media following, right? And this is an untapped resource for a lot of guys out there. A lot of guys have not put a lot of time and attention into their social media presence. And a lot of coaches don't really talk about it. I talk about it because we're in a digital world now. You have to pay almost as much attention to your digital presence as you do your actual in real life presence, right? People are going to look you up. People who meet you are going to Google your name. They're going to see, you know, especially if they're interested in you. They want to learn more about you before they invest more. And if you have a good social media following, that's going to be very impressive to them. And the goal isn't to impress people. The goal is to build an ecosystem where you can start bringing opportunities to yourself instead of having to proactively create opportunities. That's the goal of pre-selection, to create opportunities. Unfortunately, we live in a world where growing on social media is not as hard. You share something about your passion, share something that you're interested in. Be one of the people who are just yappers, who just talk about whatever trending topic is going on. Share your personality, share your perspective on current events. You don't have to have a huge audience, but if you start to cultivate some degree of an audience, you'll be surprised at the type of opportunities that come your way. And so many guys just don't do this because they're afraid of how they're being perceived, right? But if you want to increase your pre-selection, you can't care about how you're perceived, because even trying to increase your pre-selection is going to naturally put more eyeballs on you. So if you have a fear of being seen, this is the wrong video to watch, because this video is all about how to be seen more, right? So increasing your social media presence is going to not only help you out like financially when it comes to brand deals, when it comes to job opportunities and things of that nature, it's also going to drastically increase the amount of women who actually will be open to dealing with you. So it's really an untapped resource. If you really have a dialed-in Instagram page or a dialed-in TikTok page or a dialed-in YouTube channel, I know not all of you are going to do this, but for those of you who actually resonate with it, it's like, man, if you only knew. Like, if I really wanted to, I've never slid in the DM on TikTok before, but if I really wanted to, I would never have to download another dating app. I would never have to approach another woman. I would never have to do any kind of social circle game. All I would have to do is sit back and shoot off a TikTok DM. That's it. For the foreseeable future, that's all I would have to do to have a vibrant dating life. It's really that simple. So integrate all of this information that I'm telling you. Don't try to apply all at once. See which one resonates with you the most. If you're incredibly out of shape, focus on getting your physical appearance down. If your money is low, focus on getting your money up, because that also plays into pre-selection. We haven't really mentioned that, but money does play a big part in pre-selection, but you don't necessarily have to have it, right? And after going through this list, you'll see that a lot of it aligns with what a lot of guys have been pushing about becoming a high value man, right? When they talk about becoming a high value man, what they're talking about is pre-selection. But the beautiful thing is, you don't have to do all of that. You don't have to go out and make six figures. You don't have to go get a six pack, right? You don't have to take a picture smoking a cigar or with Lambos. You don't have to go out with models. You just pick a couple of things. Just 2 things on this list will be plenty, right? Because the bar is so low. Most dudes are operating with the pre-selection that's a 1 out of 10. Meaning, if you can get this shit to a 5 out of 10, you're lapping your competition. If you get it to a 7 out of 10, you're elite. Do you understand? It's really not that hard, guys. So implement everything I'm telling you. And if you want more help with this, I launched a Telegram group where I will be engaging with the community, answering questions, giving feedback, sharing free resources, maybe sharing even some YouTube videos that I don't make live on my channel. I'll put a link in the description so you can check that out. Make sure you join it today. I actually have a free ebook for all the people who join. It's called How to Be a Masculine and Magnetic Man, right? It's going to help you kind of build up your masculinity and start being more effective with the opposite sex. So you'll get that as a free download once you join the Telegram community. And if you have any questions about what I shared here, just make sure you drop it in the chat, right? I'll make sure to answer you back. So till next time, guys, increase that pre-selection.